So we know that we're in a trance most of the time. And we know that in that trance we react instinctively, our subconscious is protecting us. And we know that it has to use some sort of rules to do that, and that those rules are based on very primitive caveman days, basically, about how to protect us. So let's talk about the first rule of survival. The first rule of survival is about how we need to react straight away, the fundamental rule that everything else is built on. And actually, it's the first rule that kicks in from the moment we're born, that ability to survive by just reacting. And if you think about it, let's think back to the caveman days, right? In the caveman days, you go around a corner and there's a saber-toothed tiger there. And you go, right, okay, saber-toothed tiger. Is this my best spear? I wonder if I can outrun it. By which point, it's eating you. So actually, the process of thinking your way through a problem is detrimental to surviving a problem, based on the whole primitive caveman days of working. What needs to happen is, instead of using your logical brain, you need to be able to react instantly when threatened. And an instant reaction is flood your body with adrenaline, increase your heart rate, shorten your breath, get your palms all sweaty, get you ready to fight or to run away or to just freeze on the spot. Now, that flooding your body with adrenaline has really quite a number of uses. If you get hurt, because your body is flooded with adrenaline, you won't notice the pain at first, because let's face it, if you kind of stop and go, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, you're going to be dead. It also suppresses viruses and things that are attacking your body. Because, again, you can't kind of go, excuse me, Mr. Saber-toothed Tiger, I have a bit of a cold. Would you mind just attacking me tomorrow when I'm feeling a bit better? That's not going to work. So, when your body's flooded with adrenaline, all the things that could attack your immune system are actually suppressed as well. And then you're in a good position to be able to fight that tiger, to run away from the tiger, or to just freeze on the spot, which gives you the best chance of surviving. And it's interesting, really, if you think about it. If you think about that combination of reactions, and you think about today, well, there are no saber-toothed tigers. In fact, there are no predators for the human race. And yet we can all find moments in our lives where we've experienced that same physical reaction of our heart beating and pounding out of our chest and blood racing through our body, sweaty palms, all that sort of stuff. We'll call it nerves, anxiety, or even a panic attack. And yet there's nothing there that's going to physically threaten us. So how come that happens? Well, now, instead of just physical things that threaten us, in that 90% of the day where our subconscious is looking external to us for things it needs to protect us from, it's looking for things that are going to hurt us emotionally. And it's triggering exactly the same physical reaction as if those emotional things were physical hurt. And that flooding your body with adrenaline thing, that's why when you're really stressed, you're running high on adrenaline on a constant basis, which really isn't a good thing for you. You can understand that. And that's why when most of us, if we're in high-powered jobs, when we have time off work, we get ill. Because the adrenaline subsides, which gives all those little viruses that have been waiting in the wing, and go, wee, and then they come and they make you ill, and that all kind of gets out of the way. So anyway, modern day, emotional hurt is equivalent to physical hurt, which gives you the same reaction from your subconscious. So let me give you an example of this. You're 3 years old, and we've just passed Christmas, right? So you're 3 years old, you're stood in front of the Christmas tree singing Jingle Bells because your family has asked you to sing Jingle Bells for them. You've been practicing for the last couple of days, which has probably been really annoying for your mother. And you're all ready to sing to the best of your ability. So your family sat round, you take a deep breath, and you blast out Jingle Bells to the best of your ability. And everybody around you has these big smiles on their face, and some of them are giggling, because actually when you say the word bells, you say it in a weird sort of cute way. And they think it's so funny and so cute the way you sing it. But you're trying your best, and there's people laughing at you, and that's not a nice feeling. In fact, that hurts. And to your subconscious, hurt equals something that's going to physically hurt you, and therefore it needs to protect you. So a rule goes into your rule book that says, don't stand up in front of people because that hurts. And then once you're an adult and you're no longer under the protection of your parents and you have to stand on your own 2 feet, then one day at work you're asked to introduce yourself to a room full of people. And the first thing that happens is you get this massive anxiety attack Your heart starts beating out of your chest, you're feeling really sick, you just either want to get the heck out of there, or you just freeze up and don't think you can speak at all. Because your brain says, hang on a second, we don't do this, this hurts, and I'm not going to let you be hurt because my job is to protect you, so it protects you. Now, of course, you can override it because you have 10% of your brain, that precious 10% left. But then when you've got past it, you'll be like, I'm not going to do that again. That's, I don't do that kind of thing. And you make sure you engineer your whole life around not having to stand up in front of people. Just because of a simple miscalculation. Because it wasn't true that being hurt equals death. Because otherwise you wouldn't be there in the first place. You didn't die. Emotional hurt doesn't equal death. And the fact that everybody was giggling and smiling at you meant that they were enjoying it, not that there was anything wrong with it. But at 3 years old, it was kind of like you had a cardboard box on your head with eye holes cut out of it. You couldn't see how things really were. And your subconscious couldn't see how things were. So its job is to protect you, and it's done that very well. If I told you in that meeting room there was a saber-toothed tiger, then you'd realise you were off your trolley to go in there. And that's what your brain thinks. You are mad to go into that room when you're going to end up dead, and I'm not going to let you. And that's why we find ourselves in that 90% of the time where our subconscious is looking to protect us, being triggered emotionally by stuff that maybe people around us aren't. And we lose control when we've got that emotional trigger. It overtakes us very quickly. Because as far as your subconscious is concerned, the world is black and white. If something hurts you, you're going to die, and it's not going to let you die, and it will do whatever is necessary to protect you. If it needs to, it will shut down your body to protect you from being hurt emotionally. So it doesn't need to be there. It's a miscalculation. It's just a thing. But it's a very real thing based on a good intent, a positive intent. And that's so often the cause with these things, these behaviours, these thoughts, these feelings that we can't seem to control that get triggered by various things around us. So that's the first caveman rule of survival. You have to react first, because if you think, you'll end up dead.